Mr. Nick McGurk. Welcome, Nick.
The Beta Cast.
The
Thank you,
Beta
Ben, for
Cast.
having me. I like the name.
I do too. I think it works pretty good. So I'm happy to have you, and excited to meander through some different topics today. I have some good questions rattling around in my brain, but we'll also be taking questions live. So if you have questions, we can do that too. And Nick, I do believe you can see on the right-hand side there is a chat. So if you want to take a look at that, you can actually see what's going on there and
I
chat
don't know
with
if I
people
see
there.
the
Yeah.
chat, but I just want to say it's a great day to be alive. And I firmly believe this. The best is yet to come. So whatever we think our glory days were, 18, 20s, whatever, I think we're not going back there. We're heading toward the glory days. All right? The best is yet to come, Ben. Let's go.
I agree. The best is yet to come. No doubt about that. We got a couple people joining, which is always super fun. Brian's here from Wisconsin. We got Remedy. It's
That's
just
Gary,
it's
I believe. Is that Gary?
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So let's see. There we go. So
I'm
happy to
drinking
have
some
everybody.
lemon water.
Mark's on today.
I'm trying to be healthy,
Yeah,
Ben. I feel like you're a very
healthy's
healthy
good.
47-year-old. 47, you said?
I'll be 47 in about a month and 20 days or something like
So
that.
you're
So
46.
yeah.
We were just chatting about fitness, and you were like, I was in the best shape of my life from 40 to 45. And I'm like, I had no idea you were over 45 years old. So that's crazy.
Oh, well,
That's
thanks.
wild.
I'm glad I look pretty good. But yeah, the good old days are right now. I like that one. That's a great one.
They're
I'll
ahead
put
of
that
us.
one
They're
up when it
yet to
comes up.
come. All right.
They are. I agree. I agree. Yeah, so we were talking about fitness when we were trying to set this up and kind of plan some things for the rest of the year. And yeah, for me, definitely, I got in the best shape of my life right around 40, and I've maintained pretty good shape. But when I moved this last year, I fell off a little bit of that train. I'm not by any means like bad shape, but I'm not where I was. Like you could see, like I can see my abs and everything like that, and I'm not quite back there yet. But I'm working on it. It's coming back. It's going to happen again.
I'll tell you the best. Some of the best shape I've ever been in was when I was mobile detailing. Cause like that's an honest man's work.
You
When
got to
you're
go.
unpacking your gear and you're in someone's driveway and you're figuring out all the logistics of how to get this job done with the elements and their power and water. Um, I mean, I know there's efficiency and all this stuff, but when you're really working like that, you're getting a lot of steps in. That's all I can say. And you don't really have time to eat. And I look back at those pictures, I'm like, dang, I was in shape. Anyways.
Yeah, I mean, when you're working for a living, you stay in pretty good shape. That's just the way it is.
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Now, I would like you to just talk a little bit about how did Nick get to where Nick is today as, a partial owner in DIY Detail, because you started out your career very differently, but you're really good on camera for a reason. And why is that, I guess?
I don't know, man. I wanted to be on camera, and a lot of people did where I went to school. Like I went to journalism school, and there were a lot of people who wanted to do broadcast journalism. And I think some people got weeded out, like almost because of the way it was. Like they just weren't that good on camera. And then some of them were the hardest workers, right? And then maybe they went into print or magazine or they were producers for TV. I think maybe there was just some natural talent there and some desire to do that, which I enjoyed kind of covering the news. And so I went to school for journalism and I interned at a bunch of TV stations and radio stations all over the country. I actually lived in Germany for a while and interned for a TV and radio station over there. So I minored in German, majored in broadcast journalism, was always really into school and learning and achieving. And yeah, just started my way up the TV news ladder: South Bend, Indiana, Clarksburg, West Virginia, Denver, Colorado, Seattle, and Salt Lake with one kid and one kid on the way in 2016 and from Utah. So it was just, we needed to get closer to family. And anyway, just ended up moving like an hour away to find a good spot for the family and the growing family we had going and just got a car that was new, nothing special. It was a Subaru Legacy back in 2017, but it was new and I was like, I felt kind of guilty getting a new car. Like what would Dave Ramsey say, Buy a car in cash. I didn't buy this car in cash. And so I was like, the guilt, the Catholic guilt was like, you better dang well take care of this thing. So I'm watching all these YouTube videos on how to clean a car and I'm like, this is kind of fun. I was buying all this chemical guy stuff. And I remember when I chined my own tires for the first time, because when I drove it from home to the dealership, I was like, this is the nicest it will ever look, right? And it's like this weird feeling of like, because I just told you the best is yet to come. It's a weird feeling when you're like, I owe the most amount of money I'll ever owe. and it looks the best it'll ever owe. Like there's a guilt there about like it's gonna go down in value, it's gonna look worse with time, and I'm gonna pay on this for a long time. Like there was a lot of like pent up, like I did something wrong. So I felt like maybe I could reverse that or make up for it or somehow like balance the scales by keeping it looking nice for as long as possible. So as I'm watching these YouTube videos on like how to take care of cars, it's all these mobile detailers in California. Darren from Auto Finish, Scott from Dallas Paint Correction, like the chemical guys, Greg Masterson, all these guys in warm weather climates who are doing mobile detailing, just maybe more on the leading edge of the curve in terms of they can detail year round. They've got businesses that are more likely to probably weather the seasons. I don't know why the people in the warm weather climates were the ones that I watched most, because Larry in the East Coast from Ammo, he had his channel and he's in the cold, so he was one of the guys I watched as well. But I was just watching a lot of these people with YouTube channels, and I was like, I've spent more than a decade doing TV news, so I know video, I know storytelling, I know a good soundbite, I know how to make things interesting. And I was like, I'm not saying the people that I just mentioned, but in general, there were a lot of people on YouTube. I'm like, I could do this too, right? I could be as good as these guys or better or whatever. And so I just started like obsessing over cleaning cars, as we all do. We all find our like love for detailing in one way or another. Maybe it's you grew up with cars, and that's I think like a lot of people's stories. They grew up with their dad cleaning, and that wasn't the case for me at all. I never cleaned the car with my dad. What's up, Stray Bishop? Loves Dave Ramsey. Yep, rice and
Yeah.
beans. Live like no one else, or later you can live and give like no one else. I don't even know if Dave's still doing it anymore, but I listen to his
He
show
is.
religiously every day, and I got out of a lot of student loan debt. I paid my student loans off. Like I was about that life, before I moved to Utah. Then you have your second kid, things get a little more complicated, and that's again where I felt a lot of financial pressure of like I just felt like I was kind of stuck in the Utah market, which is not a bad market, but I had already climbed from Denver to Seattle, and Utah was a step down. We came here to
Sure.
have a kid. My wife at the time was a very high risk pregnancy, like a lot of like just hospital visits. Like, was our daughter going to make it? Was the mom going to make it? We didn't know. So the move wasn't about a career, but then once you settle in, the baby's born, thankfully healthy, then it's like, okay, I want to make a little bit more money. And I just felt kind of stuck in this career that I was getting burned out on. So I was like, I never tried my hand at small business or entrepreneurship. And I had this desire, like, even from when I was a kid, I loved mowing the lawn. And I remember wanting to like hand out flyers and start a business, but I never did because I was too scared of the rejection. So anyway, here I am, young 30s or whatever. And it's like, man, it's like I had this desire to try to start something, and so I'm cleaning cars. I'm like fantasizing, what if I started a business doing this? Where would I start? And then I was covering a story one time of this woman whose wedding ring had been stolen out of her car, and she happened to be local to me. I found her in one of the local Facebook groups. Help! My car was broken into. It was like my great great grandmother's wedding ring that was mine, and it's gone now. And I was like, that'd be a good story. So I pitched it to my assignment desk at the TV station out in Salt Lake. And even though it was like an hour away from Salt Lake, closer to me, it was an interesting enough, compelling human interest story. I was like able to pitch it it wasn't like a lead story that day, but it was interesting enough that they put a reporter on it. And I'm up there talking to this lady. She agrees to do the story, and we're kind of just shooting the breeze out in her driveway. And I think we hadn't even started the interview yet, or we had done the interview, and then I was like, can we get some shots of like the window? And she's like, don't look in there, it's dirty. And then I said this aside comment. I was like, I'll clean it for you. And she's like, I would pay you. And so I waited till the interview was over, and I was like, hey, seriously, like, I've been thinking about like doing this for money. Like, would you really want to do this? And she's like, yeah, when can you come? And how much would you charge? I'm like, I don't know, $100. Or I don't even know if we talked about the money, but I charged her $100. Anyway, that's kind of how it started. That's kind of how it started. And then I started detailing, and then the neighbor was like, can you do mine? And it's funny how that works. And when you're really cheap,
Yeah.
they always say yes, right? So I think I
Yep.
charged $75 or something for the first one, $75 for the second. And it took me all weekend. Like I didn't finish it that day like I thought I would. It took me all day to do the first one. Then I came back the next day to do the second one. And I left water spots all over the car from using like the chemical guys foamer that you attach to the hose, and like their snow foam in direct sunlight, not knowing anything about how to like avoid water spots on a car. And I don't even think they cared because it was mostly an interior detail on a mommy van. And that's when I realized, man, I could use a steamer. And that's why I very quickly realized like buy once, cry once. Cause I mean, the steamer, when you're starting out as interior detailing, like, especially up here in Utah and stuff where that's most of the demand, I felt like, especially when you're starting out, I still miss a steamer. There's a lot of steps between then and now. We can go into it if you want, but like started mobile, then I got a bigger shop, or I got a shop, then I got a bigger shop and a business partner, and then that kind of dissolved. And around that time, Ivan and I started discussions because I did start my YouTube channel along the journey, like documenting what I was doing. And at first, I was afraid to show my face. and the YouTube channel wasn't really growing. And then I'm like, finally, I'm like, I'm just gonna risk it for the biscuit. Like I'll show my face, even though I'm technically a property of ABC4 and I've signed my contract, my name and visage, and I can't like compromise the integrity of the ABC4 brand by doing something like, you're kind of owned by them when you signed a contract with them, because they're going to raise your profile because you're on TV for them. But there's a lot of stipulations of what you can and can't do, especially as it relates to like I couldn't go and be a pitchman for a local car company. Like you see the entertainment reporters sometimes doing that, but like when you're like a straight news reporter, there's a lot of things you can't do when you're signed to like a TV news contract.
Sure.
And I was just at this point where I was like, you only live once. And I kind of just felt like I just wanted to honestly, and I did ask my boss at the time, could I start an auto detailing thing on the side? And he's like, as long as it doesn't interfere with, you needing to get called in on breaking news or any of your assignments, and you don't make it a big deal, like outside of, the news station, you can do it. Well, then he ends up getting fired. We hire a new news director and then another news director. And this whole time, like, not once did I ask the new news directors if I could be a detailer, and never once did I ask if I could start the YouTube channel. So there was an element of, you only live once, and I was kind of wanting to like risk it because I just felt like the life I knew was the life I knew, and I wasn't going to change if I didn't change something. So anyway, that's kind of how all that
Sure.
happened, and met up with Ivan for a training once, and we just established a relationship, did videos, they were doing well, and he presented me with this opportunity like a couple of years, I think, before DIY even started, and I didn't take it that seriously, but I was like, oh yeah, sure. And then like a year later, he reached out again, and it was all kind of happening, and that's when we started to kind of get the ball rolling.
I mean, that's the quintessential journey of so many people where they start out in one area and just end up somewhere completely different. Like you would never have guessed when you went to school, this is where you were going to be, where you are now. And, when you think about, I think about when, my parents were growing up, my dad did one job for 25, 30 years before they was laid off or whatever at a paper mill. But like you just kind of had a job, you stayed there, you were super loyal to them. Maybe they weren't that loyal to you, but you just didn't know it. That kind of thing. And today it's like, if there's a new opportunity out there, you got to take it. And people are scared of that a lot of times. And I think that's it's cool that you said, "Hey, there's this opportunity. I'm having fun with this. Let's go see what happens." Because that had to be a pretty scary decision to make, I would think.
Well, and I would say that I actually am very loyal. I think I'm like more loyal than some. Like a lot of people do a job for a couple years and they move on, and if there's one thing to be said, like I maybe stick around too long, whether it's
Sure.
relationships or jobs. I mean, that's not DIY, but like I don't know. I went to the lowest rated station in Utah, ABC4, right? And I had worked at like one of the most prestigious stations in the country. I don't know if there's anyone watching from Colorado, but like Nine News, KUSA. It's like we're in the pinstripes for the Yankees, right? Very highly regarded, prestigious TV news station in the world of TV news. Like you go to college for this stuff, you know that the biggest market pays the most money, which is like a New York and an LA and then Dallas and DC, and like the big markets pay the most money. But around like market 14, there's Denver, Colorado, and like Nine News was like the pinnacle station. And I remember working there, and it was like, Mike says, "Go Patriots." I mean, it was probably like going to play for like a Bill Belichick. There was this news director named Patty Dennis, and she made you better. And it was like you never knew where you stood with her. Praise was very rare, but
Sure.
the newsroom was so competitive, full of so many young, ambitious people that my skills went higher and higher and higher. Like I got really good. I'd never been more passionate about TV news and storytelling and like videography than I was there, because it was the number one like photojournalist station. Like the year I was there, we won NPPA Station of the Year, which is like National Press Photographers Association, and that's very prestigious when you work behind a lens, and that's what you do. Like we won the number one station in the country, and one of the stories that I shot edited myself on breaking news, that there was a bunch of flooding in Colorado, was on that tape. So like I got really good at shooting and editing videos, and like I don't know, it was a great place to go. And I remember what I made there I couldn't really afford to live. So I remember what it was like to be able to look in the mirror and be like, I can't afford my groceries, but I'm working for this prestigious station. Do I care what other people think, or do I need to take care of me? Right. So Denver, and then Seattle, and then Utah. So this has been like 6 years since I had worked for the station. So like when I'm working in Utah, I'm like, I'm going to take the job that pays me the most amount of money, even though I went to the least prestigious, lowest ranking. Like I never thought I would work in TV news in Utah again, let alone at the lowest ranked station. But I didn't care. At that point, I was like, I'm here for my family. I'm here to be a dad, not to like become a better reporter. So it's one thing to like think about what other people perceive you as. It's another thing to just have to like pay the bills. I don't even know how we got started on this, Ben. But
No, I mean,
I will say that YouTube didn't even exist when I was in high school, let alone when you were in high school. And when I was in high school, I was dreaming about like being the next Anderson Cooper or whoever, Charlie
sure.
Gibson on ABC News or whatever. And there was no such thing as being a YouTuber or like, you know, using organic social media to grow your business. So yeah, I think by necessity, so much has changed since then.
Yeah, I agree. And well, I guess let me go to a point you
Yeah.
talked about here because I think it's important. I have a friend who I think has been very loyal to where he's worked for a very long time, and I think I am loyal to people, but I'm not necessarily loyal to companies. Like that's where I've gotten in my career. I've learned that lesson that the people around you are the most important thing. You know that like who you work with and the people you're in the trenches with every day, but the company itself, you might have joined for the vision of the company or whatever it is, but in the end, the company is really about the bottom line of the business. Like that's generally how that works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but like I have a friend who's like I think stayed way too long, and we've said for years, you've got a bunch of skills, go somewhere else. They keep treating you poorly. But what do you have any advice for people like that? I know you're loyal as well, but like, do you have advice? What would you say to somebody who might be in that situation?
Well, that's a good question. Yeah, so I stayed at ABC for longer than many people that also felt like it was a really challenged place with poor leadership and just low morale. But, you know, there were a couple bosses that were good to me, and I had gotten promoted to be the weekend anchor there, so I had a pretty good gig, you know, and I'd never been an anchor anywhere else before, and I got to be the weekend anchor there and ended up winning an Emmy to like anchor, you know, this breaking news protest one time. So I had a good gig, and I would just say, man, you gotta listen to your heart and your gut, and they're different things, um, and your intellect as well. So, I mean, he knows what's best for him. I don't. I mean,
Yeah,
he knows. I mean, if you really get in touch, if you get silent and really like tune into your heart and your gut, and you just kind of sit with it, I think answers will appear. But I don't know. I mean, staying somewhere too long, like that's kind of a complicated one.
it is complicated for lots of different reasons, but you know,
Yeah, is the pay good?
there's a
I
value to
mean,
what you do, right? If they're not treating you well, and you could be treated better somewhere else. Now you could be treated worse somewhere else too, but it gives. I think what you've proven on your track is that there are other things you can try, see what happens out of those, and then like, hey, this actually is something like I'm might be worth my time. But if you never take that step, you never know. I think that's kind of like the point I'm trying to make, right?
yeah, and our managing partner, kind of gives me a hard time in a good way, like playfully, like that. I was very cautious before taking this risk, like in a way that it was like, no, it's like like why not do this? Like the offer was, we'll match your salary for a year and just try this. And I was like,
Sure,
am I gonna bet on myself? I think I'm gonna bet on myself. And it's
I
not that
like
like
that.
there wasn't a bridge. It's not like you have no salary and let's just like try it. I mean, I think you also hear people say we should save up enough so that you can, you know, live on your savings for a year or whatever. So I
Yep.
had the blessing of like getting paid for a year to try this. Um, I mean, it's worth taking a risk, but I mean, I was like very calculated and in many ways risk averse about this. It wasn't like a totally blind risk, you know. And you hear some people say that the people with the most money who gamble the most in the markets or whatever, you think that they're risking all this, and really, it's the risks they take are with a very like small amount of their money, or like the risks they take aren't as risky as you think. I don't know. It sounds riskier, I think, in hindsight. Um, Certainly was a risk. I remember the mom of my kids, and we were not married at the time. She was worried about me being able to support the kids. She's like, why are you doing that? Like, that's such a big risk. And I was like, all right, obviously we're different, right? We got divorced for a reason. But yeah, I think so. My capacity for risk is bigger than most or bigger than some, but then other people take much bigger risks. So I don't know. I just got to this point. I was like 35 and I was like, if I am not going to take a risk and try something new, there's going to be a lot of regrets on my deathbed. Like, cause I kind of know how this goes. I know what the ceiling is. I know the nights and the weekends that I'll work. I know how my I know how my gut has felt, which is that I've been burned out on this industry for a long, long time. It's funny, like the protests over Minneapolis. I had this dream. That's the subconscious speaking, right? That I should have been out there on the streets, like covering these protests. And then I woke up and I was like, man, I know that 99% of the stories are not the big breaking news stories where it's all kind of happening in front of you and you can bring people along and it's so exciting. It's the city council meetings and the tax raises and sifting through all the neighborhood groups for that one interesting human interest story, calling 10 people in a day on deadline hoping they'll talk to you, and when they all either ignore you, don't call you back, or say no, having to pivot to your fourth story of the day, the producer's being frustrated with you, you're an hour to deadline, you're stressed out, you're eating fast food, then you're working early mornings, late nights, you're talking to people on the worst day of their lives, mothers who are grieving, like all the stress and stuff. About, like, I was just burned out. I just didn't care enough
Yeah,
about local current events. I love detailing, right? And again, that was like me following, and again, I'm sure there's
sure.
all this advice on whether you should follow your passion and da 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 da. This was something that I've always loved, cleaning cars, and my gut said, "You really love this. You can handle this for the long term. Like, let's go for it."
And again, I love that. Like everybody's got different tolerances for risk, and
What's your tolerance for risk, Mr. Ben, Mr.
well, I
Betacast?
think I'll tell everybody a little bit of a story. So one I'm going to pitch next week's live stream for a second, because I on YouTube don't ever talk about what I do during the day. So I'm a product manager at Western Governors University during the day, and now an acting director, and for the IT program. So we create the IT programs that people take to change their lives and move forward, try something new, right? Like open up opportunities that they wouldn't have had. And so like next week we're going to talk about brand new programs that I've been involved in creating for over the last year and a half, and I'm excited to have a live stream that's completely different than anything we've done on here before. But to get to where I am today, I started out as a special education teacher. That's where I started in Wisconsin. I did that for 11 years.
11 years.
And then I transitioned into educational technology. It was something I enjoyed, but I wanted to stay in education, and that I love technology and I love education. I was able to put those two things together, and then I moved into higher education. Then I moved to a company called Udacity, where they create content in and around tech focused type stuff. So like, programming and data science and all that kind of stuff. And I helped create content with subject matter experts, but I had to learn all of the tech stuff along the way. I kept picking up skills in programming, in data, and wherever. Just, I'm not classically trained in IT in any way, shape, or form. I just picked up things along the way. Then I became a product manager because that was something I was interested in. Like I wanted to create product, like the products that people use, whether it was internal or external, to just make people's lives better. And that led me to WGU, and like that's my journey. And I've always been like, I'm willing to try that. Let's see what happens. That's why my channel is BenInBeta. Like I'm beta testing everything. I'm trying new stuff all the time, and I'm okay with doing that in my career as long as it makes sense. Like I'm not taking a leap of faith and like I'm not going to be able to retire, that kind of thing. Like that's not. I'm not ready to take that kind of risk. But if it looks
Yeah.
like it's something different, but I'm going to enjoy it, I'm totally willing to do that. So I think that's a big thing. Like this is a kind of an interesting comment here. Let me see if I can grab this in the stream. YouTube University, like there's a ton of stuff, learning all kinds of different stuff for massage therapy and stuff. You could learn so many things online today, but when we were growing up, you didn't have that opportunity, right? Like, and it's crazy where you can pick up all these skills and decide like, maybe I'm not happy with my job, or I'm not happy with how I'm treated, but I can acquire skills in many different ways and try something new. But where I'm a little bit more like, let's sort of like you, I'm willing to try stuff. Let's see what happens. I'll take a leap. My wife is very much not that way. And she was in a very small town, working in juvenile court work. And there was a position that opened up for her to move into child protective services as a supervisor in a different county. And she was just locked up on whether or not she should make this change. It's kind, same, social work, kind of same stuff. But she was like, I don't know. Things weren't going too good with that current job. And she finally decided to go ahead and make the leap. Best thing she ever did, because it taught her she can make those leaps. She can make the career changes. And now she's working in a county in California as a principal management analyst, which is nothing like what she was doing before. But she took all these leaps that led her to that, and she loves what she does. And it's just crazy. So for me, it's like taking that first step. You get that first job. Sometimes you have a bad experience. Maybe you lose your job, that first job or whatever, for whatever reason. And then you're like, well, if I get another one, I have to hang on to this. I could never leave. But you have
Yeah.
to take, when you have those opportunities, take them, go see what happens, put yourself out there. I think it's worth it. But that's kind of how I feel about it.
It's wild how people go from one thing to the next. I think detailing is so beautiful because it's like this. It's a net that catches us all wherever we are at. Like it's just like offers any of us who have gone through life a chance to just work our butts off, and it's like equal opportunity. Like if you're willing to work your butt off, um, detailing is there, and it brings in so many different kinds of people. And I know there's all these egos and keyboard warriors, but the truth is you're not afraid of hard work if you're a detailer. And that is a commonality that I think when we all meet in person, we can all like kind of bond over.
And you and I did that. We did
Yeah.
when when we took care of my wife's car, which I can bring up, and we can talk about that a little bit. You know, you got a little bit of a late start that day. I think you got here about 11 a.m. and we were still going until 9 p.m. You know, it was pretty crazy. Like we just kept going and going and going to get that vehicle done. But we did the whole Monty the from just washing the vehicle to prepping everything, decontamination, full polish, and then the coating at the end of the night. It was dark by the time we did it, and that was in June, I think, if I remember correctly. But I had a blast. I had a ton of fun. We definitely lost. There were times along the way where we were like, we're getting tired, and we'd eat something, and we're like, we can do this again. But
Yeah, we drank
because you had that
coffee
person next to you,
like
you made it through.
after dinner. Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's always, oh man, detailing has always just been so exhilarating and exhausting, and it's kind of lonely for me, and that's why I enjoyed making videos about it. Is like if you're just detailing alone, I know this is like, okay, welcome to Nick's life, like privileged white boy. I like that doesn't really feel like my background, but maybe it is. Listen, I played tennis. All right, that was my sport. I was like captain of the team. I was good at it, and I was not rich or like especially privileged, whatever. But it may seem like anyway. But tennis, especially when you're playing from the baseline, I only remember this because I listened to like read Andrew Agassi's book Open, and he talked about it because his dad was like this crazy maniac who like made his son hit 5 hours of tennis balls from this like tennis ball machine that the dad actually fixed up to be even more powerful and hit right to the edge of the baseline. So when you're hitting from the baseline, it's just a very lonely game, right? And then I was also a cross country runner, right? And so like I would play team sports, but kind of solo. And so I guess I'm probably drawn to detailing for that reason, and I didn't have like any brothers and sisters who were really close to my age. I was an only child for like 8 years. So I guess I'm used to spending time alone. But yeah, there's a zen thing about getting behind a polisher for 8 hours or whatever you're doing or detailing all day, but it can also be really lonely. So it's also been a joy to like share that with people through making videos. You know what I mean, Ben? Like it's nice to share it with people
I
when it's just
100% know.
you.
Yep.
And that's why I loved mobile is because you interacted with the customer so much more instead of them dropping it off at the shop and leaving. And Ivan would say it's not it's not a for me, it's just like I'm a very social, emotional person. So it's like I enjoy the aspect of being in the wild with customers in their driveway, even when it's difficult and challenging, because you're interfacing with them versus especially the shop just got really like isolated and lonely for me.
And I agree. We all need a massage therapist after you get done doing a day's worth of detailing for sure. It's
I think it's a big mistake because anywhere you work in car world, mechanic, automotive, anything,
mhm.
I just think it will take as much out of you as you're willing to give. If you have a busy
Oh yeah.
shop or business, like you will stay busy forever and it will take everything out of you. I'm just like, you can't keep doing this if you're not healthy. So I think it's a thing that a lot of detailers try to focus on a little later than they maybe should about like taking care of themselves. That's why I was asking
Yeah,
you
I agree
about
with that.
how you
Yeah.
stay in shape because I remember when we met last summer, I was like, dang, Ben looks like he stays real active, I didn't really know that until I saw you in person. And I was like, this man is a fit human.
Yeah, I mean, you can never tell that from the videos show a little bit about whether you're in shape or not, but you can't really tell. And I just I've always tried to take care of myself, but I really started taking care of myself, especially the diet piece, because that's the big part. You can really do a lot of working out, but if you don't have a decent diet, then you never catch up. Like you just never can quite get to where you want to be. And yeah, I think it's really important to take care of yourself and mentally too, right? Like, you can do, I've learned that I need some downtime for myself. If I don't have that, I don't deal with things as well. And I get upset or I get, flustered or whatever. So for me, I need a little bit of downtime. I need to work out too, because that works out my body and my mind and everything like that. But, it's different for everybody. You have to find your own thing for sure. But,
It's hard with detailing because it'll,
yeah,
like I said, it'll take every second of your. You could be making the shop less dirty. You could be doing microfiber. You could be posting more. You could be detailing the car. There's always another, speck of dust on the interior. Like for me, it felt like it would just take everything out of me. And yeah, when I was in my shop detailing every single day, I didn't go to the gym. I didn't, I was eating whatever. I don't know. It was crazy. Those were the 3 monsters a day and smoking
right.
cigarettes. I don't know, dude. I I go all out, man. I go crazy with it. So trying to find balance is an all. It's an ever evolving thing. It's an ever evolving thing.
Yeah, totally agree. But balance is
What's up,
important.
Ramon? I saw Ramon's comment in there.
Yeah, extremely important. Let's put it back up. Yep, self care extremely important for anything. 100%. So I have a few questions on like what it's like. You and I have talked about this at length because we had a chance to do that. Like, what is it? So you came into the detailing space with like an icon, and I know he hates being called that. I know he hates it, but it's true. An icon in the detailing industry. So you came on kind of the scene. You were the hot YouTuber, you can look at it that way, who came on and as part of DIYDetail. What was it like? What's it like to work with Ivan? What have you learned from Ivan? And what do you think Ivan's learned from you? I think that's another interesting question.
Where do I start? What's the question?
Well, yeah. See, this is the interview thing. You're good at this. Give me one question at a time,
No,
right?
I could
So,
try,
yeah.
but I just which one do you want me to answer?
Well, okay.
Because
So let's start
there's
with
a
like
lot there.
what was it like when you first started with Ivan? Was it really comfortable right from day one, or did you feel a little intimidated? I think.
I don't think anybody cares about the good old days, right? I think in TV news it was always like nobody cares about your last story. All that matters is the next one. Um, and there's an element of like you just got to show up every day, and nobody cares what it was like 5 years ago. 5 years ago, like I had a pretty cool little like YouTube channel going on, like up to about 30,000 subscribers, and I would get a lot of views, and I felt somewhat relevant. And then as I got into my business, and then I was divorcing my business partner, and that was falling apart. There was just like a lot of life habit. I went through my own personal divorce. Like the YouTube channel definitely suffered, but there was a time when I had a lot of momentum, and I wasn't like a hot YouTuber, but like I was a relevant influencer in the detailing space, and I was looking for a new home because I was disgruntled at work, and so like I would have been, and I was a TV news anchor, so I was good on camera. I was a good candidate for this, right? And it was like, who would you have found to be the face of this company? Well, some people have a YouTube channel that is so overwhelmingly successful that they would never give up that independence. And you've seen kind
Right.
of Pan the challenge of that. I mean, Pan's doing great, but his critics are out. And I feel
Yeah.
like that is a very difficult thing for him to have a brand and to also be an independent channel and to fend off all these people on Facebook and YouTube, most of whom love him, but a lot of whom are very critical of him. And it's like, it's a tough dance, right? To like take a very successful YouTube channel and then jump into being a brand ambassador or the face of a brand or the face of a company. And so for me, I think it was just the perfect size of channel's big. I'm known, but it's not so big. It's not enough money to like pay my mortgage and all my bills from. It's still kind of a side thing, and this guy's looking for a transition from his full-time job. It was like the perfect mesh. And it might be hard to imagine. I think Ivan is an icon in detailing now. I think he was a very big name back then, but like when we went into it, I was like, we're 50-50 in this, right? Like, yes, like we were equal. So I think what we've learned from each other is like how to be a good team. Like I was putting my foot down, and we were getting into a lot of tussles early on because I wanted to do it my way and he wanted to do it his way. And I'm like, I'm creative. And he's like, we need to have a system. And I'm like, don't tell me that I need to do this faster. I want to deliver quality. And it's like, well, we need to have like, a schedule every, and I'm like, it'll be done when it's done, like just a lot of like immaturity from me, but I felt like rigidity from him. And it turns out my life got a lot easier when we're just like, I wanted to get along with Ivan. I wanted this marriage to
Yeah.
work. I'd already had a couple of marriages fail. And so I think what we've learned from each other is like Ivan has learned focus on Nick's strengths and don't put down all the things he's not as good at, you know? And what I've learned is like how to make a team work and how to, I don't have to be the star. I don't have to be the ego. Like, we don't need two Ivans in this room. What
Right.
we need is to get the best results we can from these videos to help educate people, to make them interesting, to get people to watch them, to make amazing products, like to serve the mission of this company, right? And it's like I just learned that like it's easier to do it Ivan's way most of the time. And so I was like, all right, well, does it do it your, and I mean that in like the best possible way. Like, he has been in business for a long time, you know? And I defend Ivan. Like, Ivan's my guy. Ivan's my homie now. Like,
Yeah.
if anyone like says anything, I'm like, dude, actually, like, I love this man. Like, he might be all the things that people say or whatever, and I'm like, but like, he's my ride or die. Like, he is an icon now, I know, but like, if you go back 4 years ago, you know, he was the face of another company, then he was an ambassador for this brand, then an ambassador for that brand, then he's promoting a 10% off coupon code for this brand. He was retired, but he was just like, he was on the seas of the detailing industry, right? And like, DIY was kind of a rocky start when we first started. I've said this story before, but like, we did this live stream and we had like 10 people watching, and we were trying to like give away products and nobody would even take the giveaways. And like, the live was so bad that we like took it down and removed it because my internet connection was bad. And I remember Ivan saying something like he wasn't the owner of DIY. He's like, we're both ambassadors for this new company that's starting. And it was just like, it was, even he almost didn't feel totally bought into the idea early. It was just a very
Sure.
rocky start. And we have just learned so much from each other. We're on the same team. And like, when it comes to anything detailing related, I now just defer to him. Cause I think when we first started detailing, I went in there with my microfiber pad on speed 5 and heat, you know, we were doing this thing and he was telling me how to polish. I was like, we're equals. Like, you don't tell me how to polish. And then it was like, oh, he's going to keep telling me how to do this in a really serious way until I do it. And after like about a year or two, I finally decided it was really serious. I was like, oh, we'll just do it your way. You know what I mean? It's all out of love. Like, we had our own growing pains. But he kept saying like, "What are we doing this for? It's not entertainment; it's education." And I think he just had a very clear vision about what we were doing, and I was very much like, I want to make interesting, cool videos, you know, that people will want to watch. And we've been able to work together and systematize like having a schedule, having a mission, kind of having a way of doing things that now it's like, oh, yeah, let's do it your way. And every once in a while I stand up for myself and be like, no, I want to do it this way. And then I'll try to take the emotion out of it. And if I hear the emotion kind of intruding, I'll try to go like 40,000 foot above and then be like, could Ivan be right here? Like, in a month, will I think Ivan's right? Can I just separate the ego? I'm like, all right, we can do it your way, you know? And usually he's right. So yeah, when you mention the icon thing, is like, he really is so well respected in the industry, but DIY detail, I think, has helped make him that now, right? Because like,
Sure.
I edit all these videos, right? Like, one short video per day. I don't know how many years we are strong now. I think 3 plus. You know, that's like 1,000 short form videos plus 3 to 4 long form videos a week because we started doing Monday videos a while back. There's just a lot of videos that I've put out across a lot of platforms that have gotten millions of views. And I specifically have edited them, kind of making him the face of the company because I'm like, he's just an amazing soundbite. And I spent my whole career
Yeah.
listening for good sound bites and interviewing people. I'm just so comfortable interviewing and asking questions. And I know what good sound bites sound like. And he's so brilliant at that. So it's like, I've been able to like hear his very concise, well put together answer, package it, let's send it to the internet and just like help educate people. And that has kind of helped make him, I think, the icon that he is today. And so I appreciate that everyone views him that way. And I see how he's in Australia, like spreading the message of DIY. And I just appreciate how brilliant he is at um, really efficient and concise, snackable, like, I can do this kind of detailing education. I think he inspires someone like your neighbors or like our friend, like
Me,
someone who has never
really. Yeah.
detailed before, or even you, to be
Yeah.
able to detail. And I'm the one who's like, well, grab your 7 towels and your 3 solutions and then mix this into that. And then make sure you wipe 17 times and then use a fresh towel for this. And Ivan's like, no look, window cleaning. You know what I mean? It's like, So that's his genius, is the brevity and how easy it is. And yeah, dude, it's been a wild ride for sure.
And I can say two things. So I've not met Ivan in person, but I've talked with
You haven't?
Ivan. No, I've still never met him in person, but
Okay.
eventually that'll happen next time he's in town, hopefully. But I've met him several times online. He is exactly the same as what you see personality wise, I think, in your videos, at least, you know, from what I see there. He wants to teach, he wants to help. He will let you know if you did something that's a little bit, like, I wouldn't have done it that way, but he doesn't smack you around with it, right? Like he's just like, no, I might not have done it that way, but here's how you could have done it differently or whatever. And you are also the same in person as you are on your videos. When we detail together, editing all, there was 11 hours worth of content for me to edit through.
Wow, that's a lot.
From multiple cameras, I think.
That's
too.
a lot, bro. That's a lot,
Yeah.
dude. Part of it is just getting efficient with how you record too, I've learned. But that's a different story.
Yeah. I'm doing new things this year. We'll see how it goes. Some things are going to work out, some things are not, but that's totally fine. Yeah.
Because I edit all these DIY videos, and it's like literally, it's literally we document every step, right? We document every single step, and I know that's what people want. But sometimes I'll notice it because I'll edit the videos. I'll do a fast forward with the music, raised volume, to skip over like 30 minutes of footage, in bits and pieces. Where I notice sometimes when Sylvie will edit the videos, like the videos will be an hour long and mine will be 20 minutes
Right.
long. Because I always felt like, and I don't know what people want, man. I don't know what people want. Some people want every step, and I think sometimes we fast forward. Anyway, it's a dance, right? How much do you document in the field, and then how much do you put out for videos, and how much do you abbreviate? Because I sometimes think when people see a 40-minute video, they're like, I
They
don't
get
have time
afraid.
for
They're like,
that.
yeah, I agree with that.
But then there's like so many people who love Ivan, who are like, I will watch every second of anything Ivan ever said. It's like, so sometimes I'm like, I need to like reevaluate, go back to the drawing
I
board.
think detailing is one of those things that's a little bit different and here's why. Especially for new people, or you're trying a new product, you want to know, you don't want to wreck there's always like everything out there, you're going to wreck your paint. Like you hear that, like the last video I did, where I did a video with the X foamer, and I foamed, I rinsed, and then I did a rinseless wash, but I didn't show me doing every single dunk into the bucket. And somebody was like, you scratched your vehicle for sure. Like you never even like rinsed your sponge. And I'm like, first of all, I did. Second of all, my vehicle wasn't super dirty, and I already foamed it and then rinsed it. So there was very little stuff on there. But people freak out. So they want to see all the steps. They want to know, like, how did you not scratch your car? How did you do this? And that's why I asked you so many questions when we were polishing, like, well, how do you polish around an edge? Because the 6-inch polisher, that's a big machine, versus like, this is why people have the little like 3-inch machines, and they're they can polish their teeth, and then they can polish the car because it's so small. And it's like, do you need all that? I don't think so. I love it. That's what drew me to the DIY system, was what's the least you can do in the least amount of time to have amazing, an amazing looking vehicle. And to your point earlier, when you were talking about the lady that you detailed the car, and you were like, I think I left some water spots behind and stuff, but they didn't care because they're like, wow, my car is clean, it's sparkly. And
I paid $75 for this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But even then, like
charged me $300. Who
exactly.
knew?
Yeah. And they probably wouldn't have even, like, that person probably wouldn't have been able to really tell the difference between the $300 detail and the $75 detail. They were just like, that's better than I could do. I'm happy with it, right? Like maybe they could have, but what can I do on the weekends? Enjoy myself, have a good time doing it, and not stress about it. That's how I like to detail, and that's what I'm trying to teach as many other people, like Brian Stray Bishop. I wanted to teach him how to take care of his stuff, so it still looked good, but he didn't have to spend a lot of time on it, and I bought into that system for sure. So like, if somebody offered me like, hey, do you want to do this 10-step, ceramic coating on your vehicle? I'd be like, yeah, I don't think so, because I'm going to mess something up in 10 steps. That's too many for me. If it's 2 steps, I'm in, right? But like 10, that's too much. So yeah.
No, and I think Envy is so good. Envy Detail spray, our ceramic sealant, and it's just another testament to like us trying to give people amazing, easy to use products that are just, they work, you know? I think when you teach someone to wash their car and decontaminate it with our system, they're just going to be really happy with the results. And I'm not just saying that because it's our line. I think it's just a testament to like what we're trying to do is just educate people, help make detailing fun and simple. And Ivan's the genius of simplicity, right? Not everybody can get things into like really good sound bites and quotes. That's how you communicate to people.
Yeah.
That's how you communicate to people is sound bites. I hate to say it, but like you got to be able to like reach them. If you can't, like, attention is the currency of our time.
It is.
So if you don't capture their attention because you can't communicate, that's a big fault of yours. You need to figure that out. It's offensive when people can't communicate well. I think it pisses me off because like it's so important. Like if I really believe in you and you have something amazing to share and you're not doing a good job of sharing it, it saddens me because there's potential there, you know? There's potential to do that better. Because that's what I spent my whole life doing. Anyway, so Ivan is like this gift, like this perpetually amazing soundbite who always has an answer for something, even when I feel like he's making it up. He sounds like he knows what he's talking about.
He does. I
What's
agree.
the meaning of life, Ivan? Well, you know, it's like he'll have something to say, you know, it has nothing to do with detailing. And sometimes I just like listen to him and laugh. And I'm like, I'm so grateful for you, man. I'm just, you know, sitting behind my computer editing a video every day. And then sometimes I'm like, wow, I've heard this one before. You know, if you feel like we're working, you're doing something wrong, on the verge of tripping. You know, like all the different like sound bites. I've heard these over and over again. But Ivan told me early on, he's like, how many times have you seen? And he named a brand, he named a company, named an influencer. Like, how many times have you seen them wash a car? He's like, we're gonna do this over and over again. And when he said that, because it would be like, well, we've done this before. He's like, we're gonna be doing some things over and over again. And then obviously Ivan always has something different to offer, and so it's yeah, communication is really important. I don't know where we started or where I'm headed
And
on
well, but
this.
also you don't know when people when with videos like that, you don't know when somebody's going to watch it, right? Like
It's
you
evergreen
have the people that are
content.
going to watch it up, they're going to watch it a million times. They're going to watch you every single time. They're going to watch the whole thing, and then you have
Or
people who
they'll just
just
watch
came
you
in
that
the
one
first
time.
time. Exactly, but they
Yeah.
got the golden nugget, and that's all it needed, and they were happy. So, yeah, for sure. So let's see where do we have talking a little bit about. So let's get into products a little bit because Ivan is the product person at DIYDetail. At least it sounds that way. Maybe you can correct me if I'm
Yeah,
wrong
no,
there.
I mean he does I would say 95% of our R&D. Sorry, I was just trying to check on the live stream. I just want to see what we had going on here. But go ahead, ask the question, sir. I just wanted
Yeah.
to see what this live
So
stream looks like.
I guess my question is when how do products get developed at DIYDetail from Nick's perspective? From one, so like how are you involved in the process? When do you see things? When do you give opinions on things? And then have there been any products along the way where this was like a Nick idea or Nick's product? And then while you might not talk about what they are, I'm getting you three questions again, which I shouldn't do. But are there any products that Nick wants to make at some point or has an idea about that Nick wants to do in the future? Again, you don't have to talk about what they are, but I'm just curious from those, kind of things.
So, when we started, I think that I had more opinions in terms of like what I wanted us to create. And although I do think there's definitely room for those opinions, I've really just accepted that Ivan is the detailing icon in the room. He consumes only automotive related content. He sometimes consumes some political content. I see it on the DIYDetail YouTube history. He's interested in politics, but I think it's also the world, geopolitical, tariffs. Like he's the kind of person who, if he doesn't have an answer to something, I think he would feel like he's failed. Right? He always. I am of the belief, and I listen to a lot of Stoic philosophy that like I don't want to I don't want to have an opinion on everything. I think people who want to have opinions on everything, like it's just too much. Like I don't have to have an opinion on everything. So there's a little bit more of that with me is like, and I think
Sure.
Ivan likes to be the omniscient, like, I know everything about everything kind of guy. God bless him. And so anyway, when it comes to detailing, I really have just kind of deferred to him. Like there was I pushed for sort of an interior carpet cleaning product for a while. That's something that was really important to me as a detailer. We looked into a few different options. Ivan found an option that he liked, that got kind of close. Then some people tested it, said it wasn't really ready for prime time. It's still in R&D. Ivan's always like out detailing or out making content at trainings, and he's always got 3 different samples of something. And so the R&D, like I said, is mostly him. Now, when it comes down to we're pretty close, Ivan will always send me the product and be like, "What do you think?" And my opinion is taken into consideration for sure. And then from there, it goes into, we send it out. So I defer to Ivan a lot on this. It's like I'm cool with that. And there was a time when it was a little bit more like, well, I wanted to put my mark on everything, and now it's kind of like I have my finger on the pulse. I love detailing, um, but I kind of trust him. And again, it's part of that, like, it's part of that team thing, or it's like I trust that he's the guy who knows about auto detailing. He's talking to detailers, like he's been there, he's done that. Um, I will challenge him on things. I will tell him, hey, I don't like the smell on this, or this doesn't feel slick enough to me, or I'm not really sure about this, and then he'll have an answer back. And then that's part of the discussion in the R&D. But as I said, I'm usually pretty far along before I'm touching the products, unless we're in Omaha together and we're getting prototypes together, and then I get involved in the R&D. But a lot of times, Ivan is getting sent the samples that we're working with in Quebec or wherever he's at, and working on cars with them.
And then I think for people who don't know, you guys aren't in Omaha all the time. Ivan's riding around in his bus all over the world, and
He's
you're
in
here in
Miami right now,
Utah.
I think,
Yep, yep.
strategically
Just did
spending
a
the winter in warm weather climate.
was just at a trade show, I think, too, right?
Yep, Mobile Tech Expo. Yep.
Yep. And so you guys get together a few times a year for a week or 10 days or something like that. You just film from midnight to midnight, and sometimes you sleep, and then you have video content for the next X amount of time, right? That's kind of sort of what you do.
Yeah, we batch film in Omaha, Nebraska. We're probably gonna do one more session in Omaha, and then I believe that building is potentially going to be sold or is up for sale, and then we're gonna transition to a different filming location. So kind of where we're based is going to change probably in the next year. Uh, could be a little bit quicker than that. So, but Omaha's been a nice home base for us, and it really doesn't matter where we meet because we don't have a storefront you could come up and buy from. So we just meet on
Right.
location a few times a year and batch film, and Ivan was always the one who would be like, we need to get like 7 videos shot today, and it was like, what, but he believes
Yep.
in kind of the system, and then he believes in me to like get the videos done and to do my thing with them. And that doesn't always look like magic, but sometimes I can turn something that feels kind of pedestrian and make it have a little sparkle, a little fizz, a little like um yeah, no, his efficiency is wild. Like yeah, I think any relationship should have someone who's good at one. Like, you don't need 2 like wildly creative, disorganized people in a relationship. Now, Ivan happens to be wildly creative sometimes and very creative most of the time, but he's also very systematized, where I'm a little bit more, you know, a little bit less. What's the opposite of organized?
Well,
Messy?
if I think Juice Free put it in there like perfectly. You're the foam, you're the I love the foam, and he's the I love the rinseless, right? Like that's how this relationship works, because those things can be combined together to make magic.
Yeah, like
And
like
yeah,
when you
yeah,
think of having fun, does having fun always mean being the most efficient? So
no,
where I bring, I think some of what I bring is like just that love of detailing, that enjoyment. Like, let's have some fun, let's vibe. And then with Ivan, it's like, but we have a system. We're all about education. We have 8 videos to shoot today. Da 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 da. And it's just like for him, it's always pedal to the metal because that's how you grow a business. And for me, I'm like, well, can we just stop and smell the roses every once in a while? And I don't think that he's an anti stop and smell the roses guy, but he's a really like hard charging, never stop, never let your foot off the gas, kind of businessman, and I'm learning a lot about that because like if I stop and smell the roses for too long and just like, hey, let's have a vibe, let's clean a car today, the industry will pass us by, right? Because it's a very cutthroat industry, and so I just see a lot of his business acumen, and I listen to it, and I trust him. Like I said, as the guy who's been doing this for a long time. Is he right all the time? He's right most of the time, and it's nice to have that kind of yin and yang. And then don't forget about his wife Sylvie. I mean,
Yeah.
she's a force as well to be reckoned with.
Yep.
Like, I mean,
100%.
imagine finding someone who is like so into what you were into. Like they're both so into detailing, like that they could just hang out together all day long and do this, and like that's their idea of a good time. Um, yeah, it's wild. Like, I mean, I don't know how much Misty, right? Is your wife?
Yes. Yep.
Like, does she? I mean, how much is she? You bring her along for detailing? I know you've had her in videos. Like, does she like it? Like, what is that like for you?
Well, like, I don't know. But what I can tell you is this. So we've done it. I've taught her a few different techniques. And again, we live this weird life right now where I'm in Utah and she's in California because of the job situation.
Oh,
But
right.
yeah, so she has her Mazda that we detailed is in California, and she learned how to do a rinseless wash so she can keep it clean. And she'll tell me, I washed the car this weekend or whatever, right? Like she'll tell me that. So I feel like she likes clean. So I think there's a little bit of pride there. She doesn't like a dirty car,
Yeah.
but she would rather have a clean house than a clean car. So I think that's how I would encapsulate Misty.
You know what's interesting is like I have been letting the interiors of my cars go this winter, and it doesn't feel good. Like there's something
Yeah.
off when your space is not clean, and I think I need to remind myself of that. Is like clean your dang interior. Like it's time because a clean space, you just like mentally, physically, emotionally, like it's hard to feel kind of really good in all those aspects when your spaces are dirty.
Yeah, I agree. And like I don't love interiors are probably my least favorite thing to do. But now that I've learned a few techniques to make it easy, whether you just rinseless dampen towel, like super fast, you can get it done, or even some of the products that, some of the other products I used to use, like Armor All and stuff like that, you're like, this does like, I don't really love this. It still doesn't really, it cleans it, but it was kind of a pain. But like your interior clean and protect, and like even the stuff from Detail Code, really good too. The sword makes it really quick and easy and efficient. And learning the techniques to do that for something you don't enjoy as much, but you still can make it look nice inside. It's a big deal. Like where you, I think, would rather do an interior, and I'd probably rather do an exterior. And then I think
I'd rather
Ivan might
do an
rather do wheels. I don't know.
interior. I'd rather do an interior with no time limit in my garage with all the best tools
Sure.
and no camera. So like
Yeah.
that's where I will vibe out. But like trying to make interior detailing sexy on camera, and especially with like cloth, I miss having an extractor for occasional jobs, and then I miss having a steamer just because it's such a bazooka. It's so much fun to use. Like steamers just get it done.
Yeah.
So I kind of miss having a steamer as well. And like I keep playing around with all these different products from the House of Rags because I'm like, maybe this one will achieve the desired da 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 da. And there's so many different variables, but like you said, it's so amazing. You get a rinseless wash dampen towel and you just squeeze it out on the verge of dripping, like pretty much totally dry. And you just wipe down the interior with that. And it's not like sexy, but it just gets the job done.
It's clean. Yeah, you're good.
It's clean. It just works,
Yep.
So
fingerprints are going off your screen, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, so we talked a lot about DIYDetail. I'm going to take credit for something, but you can tell me if I'm wrong. So you came out here last June, and I think I introduced you to other products because you had been doing DIY detail stuff. DIY, like that's it. You came and used an active pressure washer. We used a few different products, and you were like, "Huh, this is kind of interesting." And so I feel like I got you on the train of like, you know what? I think I want, because I remember right after that, you're like, I had so much fun. I think I'm going to start detailing again. That's when you went out and bought that the portable pressure washer. You kind of started that series right after we did that. So I'm taking credit for that.
Had I done any had I done any like Nick at Night videos that weren't podcasts at that point, or was I just doing the podcasts?
I think you had just done the podcast, and ours was the first one. We went and detailed the car together, and then I think your car, and then I think after that you were like, "Hey, I'm going to try some other stuff," which is kind of cool. So I'm taking credit for
Yeah.
that, but maybe I did, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know.
No, I appreciate that. I got so sick of trying to come up with podcast guest ideas and like deal with schedules. Like I'm sure it's even frustrating, like just trying to get me on the pod. Like it's just a lot of scheduling stuff. And I was like, I enjoy these things, but they didn't. Ramon, you're right, dude. And I know, and I want to get the Vapor Chief, and I want to spend $1,000, and I don't have it right now. But I'm like, I. Here's the thing. Here's why I think you should just buy the damn equipment, okay? Because when I thought I had this tooth thing, and I think it was more of a sinus thing, and I was like, I'm gonna have to like save up and get like the tooth extracted. And so I had like $1,500 set aside that I was like saving up for like a tooth surgery of like this was last summer. Miserable. I was like really depressed about it. I didn't know what was gonna go on. And then on impulse, after we met up, I was like, screw this. I'm gonna buy a bunch of detailing equipment instead because I want to like buy something with my feel to like make my feelings better. And when you spend the money on the equipment, then you're forced to use it, right?
Yeah,
And it's the same thing with Ramon saying buy the steamer. It's like, now don't go and do anything stupid, folks, because I once put Obsessed Garage Cranslaw on credit, and I was really mad about it. And then I made a video about it that actually put me on the map for Hawkpro detailing. Because I was like, don't buy the Obsessed Garage Cranslaw, and I got a lot of views. So maybe there is some logic to this, but you can really go down the rabbit hole. I wouldn't advise anyone buying things on credit, but that's my own opinion. I'm not Dave Ramsey, nor am I a financial expert. Don't listen to anyone about money that you don't trust. I'm just saying, maybe I should buy the steamer, because then if I buy the steamer, I think I'm more likely to, because I'm in this weird dance where I edit like, a lot of videos every day. I feel like my plate is full. I have my kids as a single dad, a few days a week. Could I add more to the plate? Yes. So, I mean, I'm right behind my garage now in this house I'm renting. And I'm thinking, how could I get business? They won't let me put a sign out because it's this yuppie bougie town. They have all these rules. They won't let me like put anything in my windows. Like I can't technically advertise, nor am I legally allowed to have a business here. That's the long and short of it. But then like I
that
got the
sucks.
wink wink being like, if you're doing one car a month, like no one's gonna say anything. So I'm
Right.
kind of like, do I put a Jeep cover around my Jeep wheel, Ben, that says auto detailing with my phone number? Because it
There
would
you
make
go.
more interesting Nick and I, because Hawk Pro Detailing is dead, right? Like that went to my business partner, and then he went bankrupt. So all I have is the YouTube channel, and I walked away from that business 3-4 years ago anyway. But could I do a car a week if I advertised with a Jeep cover with auto detailing and my phone number on it? And would I want, exactly, better to have the steamer, not need it. But I'm thinking if I had the steamer, then I could actively take it. Right now, I don't feel like I should take an interior detailing job without a steamer and extractor. I know there's different
Sure.
opinions on that. I could do it with an air compressor, but just like, and dude, I have so much power in this garage because it was the person who used to own this house before. Like, I don't know how many amperage, but they used to have like just this giant compressor. Like, I could have the biggest, air compressor. I could run a steamer. I could do it all on there on the same break. Like, I could do it, dude. That's the thing. And see, I actually am lighting up talking about it. I think I should get the steamer, is what I'm saying. Because if I
You
get the
are. You're
steamer, then
lighting up.
I think if I got the steamer, then I would like, well, I got to use this thing. I better advertise. I bet, because I know how to hustle to get business. I just don't know like how bad do I want it, because I have 60 videos that still need to get edited for DIY. Infinite amount of shorts. You could always put more videos out, and that's my main thing is DIY. But I think DIY does well when both of its faces are actively detailing, because that's our bread and butter. It can't just be Ivan. So although my soul is with detailing, I don't detail nearly as much as I used to, and I think it would be good for me to keep detailing. All right. Anyway,
I agree with you, but I have a secret to share with you.
okay. Anyway, I just rambled on for a while. We're just
No, that's all right.
yeah.
When I get together with my friends, they always end up spending money because we talk about cool stuff, and then they get excited, they buy stuff, which is
Really?
maybe I should just talk to people like they're my friends on YouTube and I'd be a billionaire or something like that. I don't really know if that was my intention for YouTube videos. It's not why I do my videos, but maybe that's what I should do. And then I just retire and do that every day. I don't know, but it's funny. I have one friend who's like, every time I get together with you, my credit card starts to melt.
Are you consuming alcoholic beverages as this happens?
No, I mean, sometimes maybe, but most of the time,
No.
no, because I'll be like, oh, I'd use this cool thing over here. And they're like, oh, I should pick one of those up. That sounds really cool. So that's kind of what happens. Because I try so many things and then people are like, oh, that's really cool. I'm going to buy one of those.
Have you tried a steamer before?
No. And so my neighbors had asked me to detail their son's car, and it's awful in the interior. And I was like, all I have is interior clean and protect and that's some towels. Like I don't think I'm going to get that out of there with what I've got. And that we talked about this a while back about maybe doing that. And then I think maybe the spring, if they're still wanting that done, that would be a great place for me to learn how hard or easy is it to do something like that. Is this like we're going to get, you won't have seen it, but we'll take a look at it. Is this like 5-hour job? It's like, oh, you can get this done in an hour and make it look pretty good. What are we talking? Like, I don't have any idea on something like that. When people ask me to do interiors, I'm like, well, sure, I can wipe it down for you and make it look good, but I don't know what I'm gonna do with that seat.
I think what you really want is compressed air for sure. But if you don't have compressed air, like when I was mobile, before I got an air compressor, I got a steamer, and the steamer can actually work as an air compressor. Like it can blow a lot of stuff out from under seats without getting things too wet. But compressed air, I say, air is life, dude. You want air compressor first, but the steamer, I mean, forget the extractor. A lot of guys say they never use extractors, they don't need them. I use them rarely. They waste time and moisture, and time is money. But I think a steamer, man. I think what is Gary saying? My wife's patience has made that a dream to endure the past couple of years. Nick, if Ivan tells you you don't need a steamer, number one, tell him it's fun. Number two, tell him he doesn't need soap. I think dude, I will have a steamer by the end of the summer. It's just a question of when, Ben. But no, okay, back to that. You did inspire me. There were two things that happened, and that was one of them. And I think the best thing that's happened to me was over the last 6 to 9 months, like, as a business, as the face of DIY, not as a person with my personal relationships and my kids and everything, but like as a professional, the best, but also for my soul as a human, was getting back into making videos again. It was like, oh yeah, I can still make videos about detailing without Ivan, right? It's not just his sidekick. And I love that role, that team that we've forged through all these years together. But it's nice to be able to like carry it solo every once in a while and like make videos, and they don't get a ton of views, but it's fun.
That's why that's why I do it. Ultimately, I enjoy doing it. So it's a matter what YouTube and social media pulls you into, though. I feel like is like you have to keep going, but it's like I'm kind of just doing it for fun. But then you start making like a little bit of money here, or you need to make money in order to keep the channel going because you can't just wash your vehicle the same way every single week. That's not going to work. Or that's where I am with YouTube right now. Is like I need to keep it going. I enjoy it. I don't want it to feel like a job, and it doesn't. But in conjunction with my 2 full-time jobs that I have right now, plus
Well, you have two full-time
YouTube,
jobs?
it's tough. Yeah, because I stepped into the acting director role for like, so my director left, I stepped into her role. I'm still doing my role, and it's great. I'm doing lots of cool stuff, but it's a lot, like, it's 2 full-time roles in one person plus YouTube. So it's been a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, what I learned with YouTube is there's no like, grand funeral if you don't show up. People just forget about you. They're not like, where have you
Yeah.
been? They just forget about you. So you either get forgotten or you stay relevant. And to
Yep.
stay relevant, it takes a lot of time and
Yep.
energy.
Sure.
Yeah.
It does. 100%.
Yeah.
But it is fun. Like, I enjoy doing it. So it's super fun. So now that we talked about products and things like that, what have you tried from other brands that you really like? You don't have to say you like it more or less than your DIY detail stuff, because I know how much you like those products. But what have you tried that you're like either surprised by in some way, or you're like, oh, I really do like this product a lot?
Good question. Good question. I really like Nemesis. That's the rinseless wash, right? From Detail Co.
Yeah, it's good.
It's really slick. I actually tried Indo rinseless wash from Josh V, and that was very pleasant to use as well. Um, I like Katiba's signature wax just because the beads were insane. I don't know if there's like a lot of longevity there, but the
Sure.
beads were wild, for the first couple washes. I know it's a wax, but it sort of felt like didn't smell like anything fruity. It was like smelled like chemicals. I'm like, this is gonna be robust. Again, I don't know how longevity works for it, but the water beads are absolutely out of this world. And then pan sealant, which we tried, and then I tried V2, his ceramic sealant. It just makes the paint like really freaking glossy for just a
Yeah.
spray and wipe. And I mean, Envy is amazing. It's super slick and glossy. I'm not saying Pans is slick in any way. At least I didn't notice it, but it hit the gloss from Pans ceramic sealant, which I used recently. I was like, it almost looked like I coated my car. So
Yeah.
that was pretty impressive as well. Um, I tried Luminous Mint shampoo. I got all the SEMA left over from the House of Rags booth. So I tried Luminous
Sure.
Mint. It didn't feel like super powerful to me. I really liked the Detail Co. Hard acid and neutral wash system. That was a lot of fun. I don't know if you need to do that. Again, I kind of like the DIY wash system better. But if you love foam and foaming is fun, like you could do worse than like doing their hard wash, then their acid wash, and then the neutral when you're doing the contact wash. And the paint
Yep.
really felt clean and decontaminated. So I think the boys from Thor, like their Detail Co. lineup, I haven't really tried anything that I didn't like. Honestly, like I've really enjoyed all of their products. Shield is really nice if you need
Hmm.
to restore like an old truck from totally faded, nasty to nice. So as a detailer, you're not a detailer like professionally, but like every once in a while you'll get just this nasty work truck. Like you don't control what happened before you got these cars.
Right.
And you may have, your basic products that have worked so good for you on all your car, and then you get this one disaster and you're like, what do I do? That's where something like Shield from Detail Co. is really nice because although it may attract a little dust and look a little greasy over time, it will like just like gloss and shine up faded plastic super well. So there's some fun products that I've tried from other product lines and honestly, until I started making videos post this summer when we did a video together, I wasn't really trying other people's stuff. And it's been cool actually, man. I thought that maybe our stuff was pretty good and like there's a lot of good stuff. Now that I've tried a lot of the other products out there that I know Jamie and Eddie have chosen because they're like the best out there, I'm like, our stuff rocks. So that's the cool
Yeah.
part is like realizing like if all things are equal, like there's a couple products from other lineups that I might grab to wash my car, but like I'm reaching for our rinseless wash. I'm reaching for all clean. I love our tire shine. I love our iron remover. I love our clay towel. I love Envy ceramic sealant. I love the drying blanket. I love incredible suds. Like I love the perfectly safe brush. Like if you're talking about washing the exterior of the car, like I'm actually now reaching for other brands unless it's like a Nick at Night video, just because it
Right.
just works so well.
Yeah, I found the same thing. So I went from the Walmart brand, like the Chemical Guys, that kind of
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah.
into my first non of those things was Incredible Suds basically, and I was like, wow, I really like this a lot, and I've continued to like. It's probably my favorite shampoo because it's I mean there's a couple other like some might suds better, right? Some might smell a little bit better. They all clean the car really well, but this newest version, I was so impressed with not only that it still suds like crazy, wasn't quite as thick. That was my biggest knock on it. But it does just rinse so easy now. Like it just comes off. Like, and that is really nice. And some soaps, like I said, they'll give you a lot of foam, but they might have to spend a little more time rinsing.
Yeah.
So I've loved that. One thing I'm curious about, like, I'm going to tell you, like, so again, I'm a DIYer, right? So if I thought through rinseless washes that I've used, which I've only used three. So I don't have, like I'm just going to put that out there. So Nemesis, V1 and V2, DIY detailed rinseless V1 and V2. So I guess that's technically four already. And then the Clean by Pan. I haven't used anybody else's yet. I liked all of them, but what I have found is your rinseless is if you just want clean with nothing left behind, yours is awesome for that. There's nothing. There's no. It's just a clean vehicle.
Right.
Nemesis felt like it cleans the vehicle, but it added shine and a little, like a little bit of gloss and maybe even a little bit of slickness. That's what I felt with Nemesis.
If
And I felt kind
do
of
they
similar things.
say Do they say that it leaves anything behind?
I don't know if they do or not. I'm not sure, but this is what I'm feeling, right? Like
Okay,
when I
gotcha.
do that, right? This is when I like it, that's the feeling I get. And I think Pans is kind of similar. And I feel like Pan has said, I could be wrong about this, that you get like a tiny bit of like lubricity left, or whatever, slickness left behind. But I think that those two are kind of similar for me. But if I want just, I don't want anything left at all, then I feel like that yours is perfect for that. So like that's how I look at them in my brain. That may not be the way it actually is, but it's how I feel, right? Like when I'm doing
No,
it and
and
what I
that's how
see.
I feel when I'm mixing up Eddie's and Jamie's Nemesis as well. As it's like, it's got that purpley milky look, and it's very slick, and you're like, I wonder if anything is left behind. But I guess I
Yeah.
haven't. I've only used it on a few cars, but it's been really enjoyable. So I know Eddie's very discerning with his rinses washes, so I kind of just trust him on that. I can't tell
Let's
if I'm
see
gonna
here.
sneeze or yawn. I'm sorry. I've been fighting off this
It's
cold. My kid
yeah.
was throwing up, and then my daughter got it, sore throat and stuffy nose. And is it that time of year, Ben?
It is that time of year, but I've been able to, stay away from it so far. So I'm just gonna knock on
Knock
wood and
on wood.
hopefully
There you
that,
go.
yeah, don't get involved. Misty was sick a couple weeks ago, but she's traveled back and forth a lot on planes, and it's kind of like you're guaranteed at some point, right? This is I said this word one time on a video with Brian, and he just loves this word, lubricity. It's his favorite.
Lubricious. What's up, Brian?
He was like, "What?" Also, he said he 100% agrees that when we get together, he spends money. So he said that's true.
I mean, I dang near bought that McKillen's handle. What's your favorite handle now? I bought the Tutu Luck one, and it's fine.
Yeah. I my favorite. It's hard because I like something about all of them. I think actually of the three that you chose the McKillens that day, I like the McKillens. It's nice.
I
I would
like the
choose that
feel of the
over.
McKillen's, but I thought the
Yeah,
foam from the Active was better.
yeah, and I think to me the Active is the right size. I love that, and I love the little bit of the rubber grip for my hand. It's the right one, but you do have to do a little surgery to take. Like I don't like the clicky thing, so you have to do a little surgery to make it right, and that's not everybody's going to do that.
Right.
Out of the box, I think the first version of I am Josh V's shorty with the automatic quick connect that blew my mind. I love that. You just click it and
And do
you're
you have that
done.
one?
I do. So like
Because they're
that's
not
gonna be
selling
like
that one anymore, right?
no, they're not. So I'm like it's like a special edition. I have to keep it. But I'm excited for this new one. I want to see what that one's like because if he keeps the
I'll
automatic
buy
quick
it from
connect,
you, bro. That one was goated, dude.
yeah,
That
it's
gun.
awesome.
Pardon me.
And like I think that automatic quick connect really changed my mind on like what a gun should have. All of them should have that. That should just be like,
Yeah.
if it doesn't have that, why would you even buy it? Because it's like this is so easy. This is so much better than like I'm trying to get the foam cannon, hold the hose, and do the thing. And it's like you just go click and you're go. That's a game changer. So I was loving that.
Well, we'll have to get together when the weather's nice again and wash the car and go over all the toys that we have. And it's been fun to kind of load up, but like I'm just trying to like not load up on more stuff than I need. But you can always
That's
like
fair.
try. But the chemicals are always fun to try. Like I'm just talking about like gear and accessories. One thing I'm lacking, and I will say this without I don't want to get quoted as like bashing brands, but the handheld IK foamer I feel like is just useless. The IK Foam Pro 12 is great, but the IK foamer that's small, I only say it's useless. It's just too small, and I just want a bigger foamer, man. I need to invest in like the IK Foam Pro 12 or something, just that holds more solution for our all clean
Sure.
incredible suds. Make sure, because I miss foaming, and I just don't do a lot of foaming now because the handheld ones are just such a pain. By the time I put the solution in, but I can only put it up halfway to keep the air pressurized in there, and then the solution's I don't know. You know what I mean? What do you use
The
to foam?
e-foamer, so I would say the e-foamers for me changed that a little bit because like the
Okay.
SPTA sprayer, what I like about that one, oh, look at that. I'm giving, like we're getting some things going on here from the Mac. What I like about that one is it's got a lot of, it's big. It holds more than like a lot of solution. But I
Is it the E
really
foamer
like
or the
that.
X foamer?
This is the SPTA foamer that holds a lot of solution.
Okay.
But I just tried the X foamer and I love that. And I love it because you put your solution into the dilution that you like, and then you can just change the tip out to get the tip to the foam that you want. And I just filmed something last weekend. It should go up this weekend. I'll have a video on X foamer and like what my thoughts were there. But um, I really like that, and I like the design of it. I like how much time and effort they put into it. I like the fact that you can take that, the handle off and charge it. Like that makes it easy to store everything else and still make sure it's charged versus all these other ones where you're trying to charge the whole entire system. Or it's just awesome. So I was impressed with that. I didn't know what I was going to think of it when I got it. I was like, I don't know, we'll see. But the fact that you can get the foam that you want out of it is pretty great. And I was able to foam my entire vehicle with just that. So worked pretty good.
How much is the X foamer?
150, like unless it's an on sale or something like that. I think 150.
Oh
but
wow! And it's like handheld. Where do you get
it's
it from?
handheld. And then what's that?
Where do you get the X foamer from?
From the website.
Xfoamer.com?
Yeah, you can use my code BenInBeta.
BenInBeta, one word.
Yeah. It should work.
Oh, lineup expanding in 2026. Pre-order your X Liquid now.
Yeah, so now they're doing, so that handle that comes off there, you can use that handle. It's the charger handle and what activates the system. They're coming out with a different, like a sprayer as well. So like you guys have the keg sprayer. Well, now you just change out the handle or whatever, and then you can go from foamer to sprayer. Again, change like I think there's going to be some different tips and things with that too. I haven't seen it yet, but that's pretty cool. So it's a whole lineup of products that use that same handle and same battery versus like like SPTA, like if that thing goes bad, you can't replace, you have to just buy a new one, right? Like that's just the way you're at. Where this, you could just replace the handle if that's like your battery goes bad or something like that. So it's pretty great. Plus the customer service, having talked to Sam, the owner, I think is pretty good. He's like, if something happens with it, you let me know, we're going to replace it for you. That's just how it works. So kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because for $150, I'm thinking I should get the IK Foam Pro 12. But that does look pretty slick. And there is something about detailing where you want the latest and greatest toy. So we'll see. We'll see.
Here's a quick question. What interior products would you recommend for cleaning fabric, seats, and carpets?
I like NCAP Clean DS2 for, it's from the janitorial industry. I really like that. And then I always start with like interior clean and protect first. And then if that doesn't work, for some reason, it's just like, it's more stubborn or whatever. There's so many things that can happen with cloth and upholstery. I like NCAP Clean DS2. And then sometimes like I think the extractor is like I try to do all these magic things with cloth and upholstery, and it's like there's a reason why hot water extraction is the way that like people clean home carpets. I know home carpets are different and the padding and the whatever. So if you have an extractor, like a nice one, and you've got cloth and upholstery that just you can't really figure out what to do with. If we're not talking about ice melt and it's just some kind of grease or stain or whatever, I like BioBreak from Bridgepoint with citrus solve in it, and then Flex Ice. I know there's a lot of great products out there. I saw some mention in the chat about the guy from Minnesota, Sager's sauce, and then I've heard what's his name? Eddie's told me about Bonnet Pro, and he said Bonnet Pro blows out these other products out of the water, and I have not tried Bonnet Pro. So it's like there's a lot of great products out there. But if you ask Carlos Serrano, I saw him post recently. He says BioBreak and Flex Ice. So if it's good enough for Carlos, it's probably pretty good. So I really like those products if you have a hot water extraction. If not, like a nice end cap cleaner is really good. I've also tried Cleantool, and I've tried what's that brand? Luminous Blanc, and both of those have products that work pretty good on cloth and upholstery as well. So I'd prefer always to have something that you could just like spray on and wipe. But yeah, interior clean and protect first, and then if for some reason that's not working the way you want, then you go to more extreme measures.
Have you ever used paint on seats and carpet? Which, and then the follow up to that is can upholstery paint is where it's at. I don't know what that is, so you'd have to help out with that one.
I've never colored or painted carpets or upholstery. I tried to get paint out of carpet upholstery once, and that didn't work very well. It was really hard. But that was like an old work truck, those ones that have been like just sat in and worked in for years on end before they end up in your care. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
You ever get the sniffles hit a little bit later as you get toward bedtime? You know, I feel like a little baby.
It happens.
Also,
It's
my
real.
daughter was sick last night, and she said she was gonna throw up, and so she was in my bed all night. I know you don't have kids, but like when the kids sleep in your bed, it's hard to get a good night's sleep, you know, because they're tossing and turning in there.
Well, I mean, we have a dog, and she's 75 pounds, so she comes and sleeps with us. And when she decides to sleep next to you, she pushes throughout the night where you keep going further and further to the edge of the bed, and you're like, I don't even have
What's
any
that all
covers
about?
anymore. Like, what's going on? Yeah, 100%.
That's what it
that
felt like
happens.
last night. Yeah. Flex Fire and Ice Out Extractor. I tried Flex Fire. I don't know where that caught on. I did it in a couple of videos. Flex Fire is very high pH, but it's not as good on like the greasy, oily seats. Like it's BioBreak. So I don't ever use Flex Fire. Flex Fire I think is like designed for restaurants and it's good for grout and tile. It's high pH, but it's missing, I think, some of like the enzymes or whatever that BioBreak has. So BioBreak is the pre-spray that you know what? I haven't really tried BioBreak and then not extracted. The whole idea with trying to like neutralize pH, Ben, is that when you just leave a high pH thing there, you might remove the visible stains, but then as it dries, it might dry brown or sticky or hard. And if it dries real sticky, it can attract oil and grease faster and dirt faster. So like you want to leave it a nice neutral pH so it doesn't attract all that stuff is fast. But then you think about a car and it's like if it looks clean, the customer's happy. And of course it's going to get dirty again because it's a car. So it's like, how much does it really matter? You get into the whole rabbit hole of like how to do it right, or you know, what really is right and what's profitable. And yeah, man. I just hope it's fun for people. I'm sorry.
Me too.
I'm fading on you here.
No, I
Ivan
mean, you
gets more
said an hour and a
energized
half.
as the night goes
We're,
on, and I tend to like fade a little bit.
well, I mean, it happens. Like I was up at 5 this morning, so I could go into work before
5.
traffic was terrible. 4:30 the day before because I had dropped Misty off at the airport. Like, I'm getting close to bedtime. There's no doubt about that.
What time? What's your bedtime? Yeah, I'm curious about the early risers. Like, how much sleep do y'all get?
It depends for me. I like sleep, so I like to try to get at least 7.5 hours. So I like to try to wind down between 8 and 9, read for a little
Yep.
bit, and go to sleep. So that's what I try to do.
Nice.
But there's some nights you don't sleep, but you still got to get up. So it is what it is. I'm curious, by the way, for everybody who's watching, we have 12, 13 people on. Did anybody catch the Easter egg that I showed just a couple times? I showed an Easter egg once or twice. Did anybody catch it? I didn't give you too many opportunities, but Mike, I thought I saw something from Mike Kaufman a little bit, like a comment that could have maybe indicated he saw it. But I was wondering if anybody caught the Easter egg.
Because I don't see it in your small camera.
No, let me go big. Like, anybody catching the Easter egg tonight? Something's coming soon on the channel. Mike had a thought on there, but I will come back here. Let's see.
Do I see it? I haven't seen. Have you gone big picture?
I did. It'll come back here in a second. I think I'm big picture on mine. I think that's hopefully that'll come across here in a second. Could be wrong. Maybe it's not.
Because I'm watching the live stream and it looks like it's just both of us.
It's not changing the views. I thought it was going to do that.
I'm up at 4 a.m. in bed at 10. Okay.
Yeah,
so he's 6. I mean,
he's an early riser. Yeah, for some reason
I love
it's not
getting up
catching
early.
it.
It's just I just don't do well if I don't get enough sleep. So it's a dance. It's a dance.
Let me see if I can do it this way. Oh, you can see it. Well, except it's not transferring over to the live stream. I don't know why.
You can't go full camera, huh?
I can. Like, I'm seeing it on my screen,
Come on,
and
Mr.
that'll
IT.
happen, I think, when I cut it later. But it's for me it is, but it's not cutting over to the live stream. I don't know why. Let's see. Let me do this.
There's an Easter egg back there. There's an Easter egg.
Let me see if I do this.
What is that?
It's the Easter egg.
That looks pretty fancy.
You got some thoughts there? Yeah.
Is that behind the YouTube box?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, huh. I wonder what that is.
It's got a 1 on it, and it's got your logo. So you must have some idea what it is.
They're not allowed to see that. They're not allowed to see that. Coming soon from DIYDetail.
Coming soon.
Who said that? Who said that? Mike's gonna love that.
He is.
Mike's gonna love that. Also, Perfectly Safe brush. Gosh, I think last I heard it was in custom. So we're hoping very soon on the perfectly safe brush. By the way, I know we get questions on that literally every day, for good reason.
It's
All right, Ben.
good. Yeah, for sure. You'll want one when you can get one. If it comes in stock, buy it right away.
We shouldn't sell out this time, but you never know. That brush is very popular.
Well, I appreciate you said an hour and a half. We're at 1 hour, 29 minutes and 52 seconds. So I think we have to say goodnight to everybody at this point, but I appreciate you coming on. It was fun. For those of you, again, just a quick reminder, next week is a really different kind of a live stream for me. It may not be your cup of tea, but if you know anybody who's interested in getting an IT degree, bachelor's in IT, master's in IT, or an accelerated version of those two, or a product management degree, let me know, or just come join. Come join the live stream and come find out about it next week. I'll have a special guest who is my boss as well coming on, and we'll see how it goes. It'll be fun. You'll get to see what I created at my real job during the day. So I'm excited about that. But if you're not interested in that, that's totally fine too. But if you know anybody who is, they'll get a lot of information about that. And or if you're thinking about a career switch, that kind of thing. You want to be like Eddie and work in IT. So something like that. Nick, thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it. Any last words?
Hey, the best is yet to come. And it's a great day to be alive. Our hearts are still beating. That means that more is right than wrong. And I hope that everyone has like an amazing rest of the month. And I'm just grateful for you and all the support. If anyone spent time with us tonight, like as I said, if attention is the currency of our time, then that's a big deal. So just appreciate everyone stopping by.
Time is the most precious resource we have, and the fact that people spent time with us tonight, I really, really appreciate that. So thank you so much. Remember, live your life in beta, and we'll see you all.